Welcome to a beekeeping session with Brian, also known as Not That Brian. Now in this session I'm going to be shooting live using an Apple iPhone 15 Pro Max, and that's on the tripod, so you can probably hear me if you're watching live, and if you are, welcome. Now I didn't know how much honey was in my hives until I did this. So interestingly enough, if you have a look on that hive landing board, what you'll see right now is a wasp trying to get into the beehive. Crazy, brave, mad wasp. And there's another bee landing with loads of pollen, loads of nectar under its wings. Can you see that? Welcome to my beehive videos, by the way. If you enjoy beekeeping, by all means subscribe. It'd be great to have you on the journey. By all means comment. I do respond to comments. Anything could happen. This is not scripted, but what I'm going to be doing today is looking in two of my hives, seeing how much honey they have and harvesting some of it. And then after that I'm going to set them up for feeding. I won't feed them today though, just going to set them up. I'll come back and give them some sugar later. Now I live in Olinda in sunny Melbourne, and it's above the snow line in winter. So what that means is that these hives can get pretty cold. I like to make sure that they've got enough food for winter. I also like to make sure that they make it through the winter. So I feed them from about March onwards, which of course is where we are right now. I think it's the 8th of March. And what I'm doing, first and foremost, I'm going to harvest a couple of frames out of each one because I love honey, and I haven't harvested any this summer. It's been a very poor summer for honey, but I want some. And then I'm going to feed them like crazy with sugar over the winter. And if you're wondering what this plastic crate's for, this plastic crate, little cheap nasty crate, is exactly the right size. Exactly the right size to put a honey frame in, believe it or not. So if you're going to have frames and you're a backyard beekeeper, you've got to have a really easy way to move the honey around. And if you look at that, they sit in there just nicely. So I put in 4 or 5 frames or what have you, they'll sit in there quite happily, no problems whatsoever. Apologies for the snuffle, people. It's one of those things you get sometimes with a bit of smoke. Firstly, again, welcome to my channel, welcome to my live video. And if you're wondering what this thing on my head is, it's a GoPro 13 black. Yeah, pretty cool gadget. I'm shooting hands-free with my GoPro. Awesome 4K quality videos. Did have some problems with it to begin with. It was overheating, and of course what that meant was it would shut down. So if you're using one and you're having problems with overheating, there is a fix. You just got to drop down the frame rate from 60 FPS to 30. So this is shooting at 4K, beautiful video at 30 FPS. And for those of you that can't see what I'm doing, it just takes a little while for the smoke to take effect. Just a little while. It's a beautiful fine day. If you've got bees, never open your beehives under 13 degrees, people. It's not nice for the bees. They don't like it. Have a look at this. If you're interested in bees, have a look at this. They made this on the inside, and I just haven't had the heart to take it down. They're not filling it full of honey. It's kind of like a bee playground, and that looked great. That's what happens when they get, you know, bored. I don't know why they did it. They've got plenty of space. They just did it. It's beautiful. Have a close look. So if you're watching live, and I hope you are, and you're interested in beekeeping, do give us a follow, because beekeeping is pretty much all I post about. Oh, that and the odd gardening hack. I've been beekeeping now for 6 years. I've currently got 3 big hives and 1 baby hive that I'm growing. So I split that one off a while ago. We're going to have a look at that in a little while and just sort of see how that's doing. I'm not hearing a lot of activity in this hive, which is a bit weird because it's a pretty full-on hive normally. Okay, so the first thing I do normally as I separate out my frames, otherwise they can be quite difficult to move. Now I'm not going to burrow deep dive into the hive at the moment. I'm not going to do that. I did that last week. There's no need. They're not swarming. They're quite healthy. What I am going to do is have a look at how much honey we've got. And this frame feels pretty light. Now the best way to open a hive and get your frames out is with a hive lifter or a hive gripping tool like this. See that? Super easy, super safe. A lot of bees in here, bit of honey on here, which is good. So I've not fed this frame at all, this hive. I've not given it any sugar. It's just been, you know, feeding itself on what it can gather. Hey girls, how you going? Alright, so not much honey on that one. A little bit of capping going on, not much. I'll be happy if I can get a frame that's kind of half capped. I know you're meant to wait till they're fully capped. That may not happen this year. I want some honey. I really want some honey. Oh, this feels a bit heavier. Yeah, we're about half capped on this one. Normally I wouldn't grab it. It's probably going to be one of the better ones I'm going to get. It's way too liquidy, but the honey's not going to last long because it's all going to get eaten pretty quickly in my household. Now this hive, as you can probably see if you're watching the GoPro footage, they tend to bridge them up a little bit sometimes. Okay girls, we're reacting a little bit. So sometimes what happens is you give it some smoke, more bees arrive. And of course they haven't been smoked, so they just arrive and go, what on earth's going on? And they come flying out to attack me, which is fair enough. And if you're watching, welcome to my channel. Oh, this is looking a little bit more exciting. So we're about half capped. Again, not normally something I would grab. I was hoping for more. That one's about 3/4, 2/3. I'm just figuring out which ones have got the most actual honey on them, and I will probably grab, I reckon, 2 frames out of this one if I'm lucky. See that? I got buzzed then, big time. Yeah, go away. Now, fun fact about bees, if you didn't know it, all of the worker bees are actually female, and the queen is a female too. Go figure. All the workers, all the guards, all the harvesters, all the nurse bees, all female. There's really only ever male bees, and they're called drones, and they stick around for about 6 weeks. They serve a purpose, and then they die. And just before winter, all the males get kicked out to die as well, because they don't create food, they just eat it. And the hive doesn't need that. Now, in case you're wondering why I'm not touching my long hive down the end there, that's a long Langstroth, and I love that hive. It's so easy to work on. It came through the winter and it's a little bit weak, so I haven't harvested anything from that. I've just been feeding it sugar all year. It's got about 6 or 7 solid frames in it, and in those frames I think I'll leave this one. Not much in there, and it's a weird shape. I'll probably leave that for them. So I've got 2 there that I might grab. What do we got here? Not that one. Not that one. Pretty much empty. And like I say, I wouldn't normally grab these, but it's March. They're not going to fill them up. Not up here. So I'm going to grab this one. This is a bee brush, by the way. This is used to get bees off things without killing them. It's a really polite way of getting rid of the bees. I'm going to lose that in a second if I'm not careful. Let's get a bit of grip on it. I've got the most polite way I can imagine to get bees off anything, and these poor girls just do not want to leave their honey alone. I do not blame them, to be honest. that one's too light. Oh, got a little bit on it. Let's cap this so they don't get all excited and want to take it back. And what have I got here? Nothing. I'm going to grab one of these. Not going to be that one. Going to be this one. It's got a bit of honey on it. Really sad actually grabbing this honey, but I want some, and I haven't had any all season, so if that's all there is, then that's what I'll grab. And later tonight, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back and I'm going to fill this with sugar and water, 2-to-1 sugar water syrup. As you can see, I don't know if you can see it there, so I'll bring you over for a look. It basically fits super snug into the hive like that. Super snug. So yeah. Alright, I don't know why the stream was interrupted, but here we are. Whee! Up and down. So yeah, apologies, it looks like the stream dropped out. That's a bit sad, isn't it? But since you've missed a bit of the drama, what I've done is I've just put in a feeding frame, and in that you'll see lots of bits of wood. When I put in sugar water, they float to the top, which means that the bees can get out safely and they don't drown. And I do that because I've just taken 2 frames of honey out of here. Now we're in March. I don't expect them to fill up these other 6 frames. They might do. Actually, while I think of it, I wonder if they've got more honey down the bottom there. Maybe some better frames of honey, because I really want some honey. So, wish me luck. We're going to look inside and see what we find. So this is normally what we would call the honey super. Now these boxes, if you're not a beekeeper, these boxes are called supers. And the top one is usually saved for honey. That's why it's called the honey super. The bottom one is where they make more bees. And it's called the brood box, or the brood super. And on top of this super, what you'll see in here, there's a lot more bees in here, by the way. So things are about to get quite exciting. If you're watching from home, welcome to Brian's channel. If you like bees, and if you enjoy this video and the gardening and some sustainability thrown in, and this might be the channel for you. It'd be lovely if you'd subscribe. Now this metal frame, if you've never seen one of these before, is called a queen excluder. And what it does is it stops the queen from getting up into the honey supers and laying eggs. But as you can see, got a lot more bees downstairs. This is where it's all happening. So I do expect some of these frames to have some decent honey in them. Fingers crossed. Because the top was a little bit bare. Now I'm not going to go looking for honey in the middle. In the middle is where we have generally our eggs and our queen. But on the outside, they generally have frames of honey. this one, full of brood. Very unusual, be an outside brood frame. A little bit of honey there. They normally put some there sort of for ready food, but look at that, brood everywhere. So I'm not going to harvest that one, that would be silly. So I don't expect this next one in here. Ooh, I'm getting attacked. Woo! This is going to be brood as well. You can tell straight away by the weight. Now brood is what we call baby bees. And somewhere in here there'll be a queen bee busy laying eggs. She could even be on this frame. I can't see her. But then again, they're really good at hiding. I mean, a bit like a giant game of Where's Wally with wings, isn't it? But there you go. That's a brood frame. And they've all got little bits of honey there, so that if I need to, they can feed the babies right there. But normally on the outside, they have a solid honey frame. They haven't yet, which is kind of interesting. Doesn't mean much. It just means they haven't got one. It means they're still making a lot of brood, which at this time of the year is actually quite surprising. Now notice, thousands and thousands and thousands of bees. They're not all rushing out to get me. This one's quite heavy. Now this one's got a bit more honey on it. I'm going to steal this one. Sorry girls, I'm totally stealing this one. I know it's not up to scratch normally, what we would normally grab, but believe me, it's the best honey one I've seen. Probably got about 2 kilos of honey in it. So if I can get 5 or 10 kilos of honey, I'll be very, very happy. I'm getting fully attacked by these girls, and I don't really blame them. There's even a wasp or two flying around here. Hey, 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 hey. Really light brush. Getting rid of them without hurting them, hopefully. So one of these ones will have to go in here, and we'll put a sticky back a bit later on. There we go. Now, I don't want to squash these bees. If I push this straight down, that's exactly what I'm going to do. That's not a good idea. Just brush them all off gently. Just gently. Doesn't get much more gentle than that. And then when I do put it back on again, we slide it on again gently, and hopefully we push most of them out of the way without hurting them. Look at that. Now I did this last week and I had someone say to me that I was being really ungentle. Honestly, it doesn't get much more gentle than that. But if it does, if you know a way to make it gentler than that, show me how. That was a bit rough, sorry girls. Wasn't planned. Ooh. This hive's a little bit different. It has latches, which is kind of cool. See that? So it helps hold it on. This helps cinch it in nice and tight and lines it up. The top ones are broken. Should really get around to replacing them. But there we have it. So later on I'll come back. I'll put another frame in there, fill it up with sugar, and these girls will be ready to start filling those frames. There we go, girls. And put the tops back on. Now this, by the way, represents insulation for the hive. And in a couple of weeks' time I'll put it back on before winter. But for now it's just acting like a big sun hat. Now let's look at the second hive. As you can see, a bit of insulation on there. If you're watching today, you're watching the channel of Not That Brian. And I've been beekeeping now for about 6 years. I've got 4 hives in total. Well, 3 full-size hives and 1 baby hive. I had 5 at the start of last winter, but unfortunately 2 of them froze over the winter. That can happen up here in Olinda in Melbourne. We do live above the snow line, so from time to time it can be very harsh for the bees, which is why I insulate. So you imagine that blue hive over there, that grey hive rather, it's going to have this insulation plus a layer of wood around the outside, and they love it. My long Langstroth there, that has insulation all the way around it, so very well protected. Now I'm going to find a couple of frames hopefully in this hive where we have some honey. I'll be happy with just 1, to be honest, and we'll see what happens. This one's very, you can tell just by touching them, you can tell they're very, very light. See this? I can get this one out without using my frame tool, and you'll know it's almost empty. I only put that one in last week, so they're really just putting some wax on it. I can smell honey, but I've already leveraged a bit off this hive. And when I say leveraged, I don't mean like accounting or stock market leveraged. I needed some honey and bits and pieces to help my baby hive get a bit of a start, so I had to take a couple of frames from my other hives. This one's got a bit more in it, you can feel it. Feels like it's about half full. So based on what I've actually already got, this is going to be about as good as it gets. It's been a really poor summer for honey, which is why I'm quite comfortable taking a little bit of honey so I get some, and then I'll feed them all up with sugar. And to put it in perspective, I don't sell honey, I don't make enough to sell it, but I do like it, which is why I have bees. However, I can buy sugar for maybe $1.50 a kilo tops, and I can spend maybe 30 bucks a hive over the next 6 or 8 weeks, 10 weeks before winter comes along. That gives me about 20 kilos of sugar goes into each one. Combined with whatever they harvest, that will leave them with plenty for the winter. And if you're wondering, this little box, perfect size for honey frames. Absolutely perfect size. Let's see what else we've got in here. Have we got anything else worth harvesting? So I've got 4 in there now. That one looks okay. Let's have a quick look. We'll use my hive tool, a frame grabber. If you haven't got one of these and you're a beekeeper, get one. Best tool ever. A little bit of weight. Old honey this. Be very flavoursome. Bit of weight in it. This one too, old honey, look at that. One, 2, 3, 4. I kind of need 1 more. Well, actually I have to grab 2 more, because if I'm going to harvest, I've got a 4 frame honey spinner. I can't really just do 1 frame at a time. I have to do the lot. So I need to do minimum 2 frames, and right now that gives me 5. So I'm going to have to get another one, which is going to be this one. And then we're going to start feeding them up on sugar. Now, if you're going to feed your bees, by the way, plenty of beekeepers do over winter, they feed them a thing called bee bread, which is kind of like a pollen patty. But they also feed them on sugar, because sugar is just basically pure glucose, and bees love it. A bit like a chocolate bar. It's not going to be super nutrifying, but it will get you through the winter. So there we have it, people. I've got my I've harvested my frames. Make some space. I'm going to put my sugar frame in there. I'll come back, I'll put some sugar in there when I've got some ready to go, and then I'll put some more stickies. Now stickies are what we call these once the honey's been spun off them. I'll put probably a couple of stickies in there. If I'm lucky I'll get 2 in there, but it might only be 1. But either way, I'll start feeding this one sugar and it'll get it ready for the winter. Now it's time to have some fun. Let's go spin some honey. Put our hive back together again. Look at that, how gorgeous is that? Put our hive back together again. Put the lid on. And away we go. Thank you for stopping by, Not That Brian. It's been loads of fun. Yeah, and watch my next video where we will spin some honey. And this, by the way, is a GoPro Hero 13 Black. Bluetooth remote. Love it.